Okay, our agenda today is first just a little reminder for you. Then Michael Tucker will come up and talk about CSA committee volunteer update. Actually, I believe he's got some information on all volunteers for committees, both CSA and for ASPO. Amanda will be here to talk about our surveys that are coming up. I'll talk a little bit about a survey as well here before we get started on that. And then upcoming events and projects. Russell will come up and talk about our ongoing projects that are yet to be done this year coming up, and then a stormwater plan update. David is talking about the Forest Preserve cleanup update, and that's where we're going in and taking out some of those dead trees and falling trees and dying trees. A beach update and the community signage update. Also a little bit about the ARB Tree Fund project that some of you have probably seen out there. It's along Greenwood Drive, and I think we've got a couple trees going at Tower Beach and some around Fraser Circle that have been put in. Toby will talk about heritage coming up, so lots of questions I'm sure about that, but lots of changes this year. It is the 50th anniversary. We anticipate big attendance and are making arrangements to accommodate that as we go forward. Okay, I wanted to introduce a couple of people. We have a new project manager. As many of you know, we started a new IT project for an enterprise system and customer relationship manager module that will be implemented. It is also going to take into account our gate and security programming, which is a program called ABDI, and that will be implemented in conjunction with this. But I've got a couple of folks here, I think. Is Harold here? Yep. Harold? Harold Holden is our project manager. Harold comes to us from Greenville, correct? And is a frequent visitor to the Low Country. Great experience in Harold's background, specifically about our CRM and ERP modules that we have. He is certified in both of the software programs that we are implementing, and we're excited to have Harold here to help lead CSA through this process. Also, Marie Sinkowitz is not here this morning, but Marie is taking over to continue our document administration position, which is taking all of the documents in CSA and making them searchable and giving us a complete library that we will be able to make available via online services in the future in conjunction with what Harold's work is. So just like to welcome those folks. Okay, wanted to talk a little bit about the gate traffic survey that's coming up. You're going to be getting an email, if you've got your email into us, about the gate traffic survey. We've been talking about it for a long time, but we are wrapping up that process and that survey. It will probably be the second survey that you will be seeing coming out this spring. The first Amanda will talk about a little bit later, but it's really taking the concepts presented in the gate survey submitted in 2017, which we did last fall, about what your concerns were, taking those to the engineer, developing plans around the site, which is the corridor from the circle to Club Course Drive, and giving us recommendations on how we can improve the flow of traffic both in and out of Sea Pines. So that will be coming up, and you'll see those ideas being presented, and we're looking for your feedback on them. Just tell us what you think and hopefully you will understand them. We're going to do a lot of detail. Won't be a lot of questions for you to answer, but there's going to be a lot of detail about the plans in those surveys so you can understand, hopefully, what's happening out there if we go forward with any of those. It'll be sent out via email, and during that send, or prior to that send, we'll send you a date when you can expect that. So that notification will be coming up. Okay? With that, I'd like to turn it over to Michael Tucker.
Good morning. This will be the briefest I've ever spoken. I think I'm going to be 2 minutes is all today, so relax. 3 weeks ago today, we had our first ever community property owner volunteer fair, trying to fill some of our committees and our task forces, both on the CSA board and the ASPO board. We had 32 people sign up for that committee fair. We had 37 people show up for that committee affair. And we have added, as of Monday, all committee chairs met with Mark and I and Charlie Miner, and we have added 34 new property owners who have not been serving as committee members or task force members to our governance group. When you add that to what we already have, we have reached an all-time high. We have approximately 85 property owners now serving on various committees and task forces going forward. These individuals on the board here are first time for 2018. They will be, along with those members who are already on those committees, approved at the March 27th board meeting. And they can attend meetings today, or they can attend meetings before the March 27th. They just are not allowed to vote until they've been approved by the board. So all committee members that are currently standing and wanting to continue to 2018, along with the new members, will be approved at the March 27th board meeting. So it was a great turnout. We still have a couple of slots open simply because some of the committees didn't find the right person they were looking for. Please feel free to fill out your application. We're still interviewing people for just a couple slots that are available. So if you're interested in serving, we'd love to have you. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Good morning. My name is Amanda Sutcliffe-Jones. Wow, that's very loud. We're going to step back and take that down a little, Dave. My name is Amanda Sutcliffe-Jones. I'm the CSA Director of Communications. I have several agenda items to cover, so I'll move through those. I am officially back from maternity leave in person. I want to thank the staff that covered for me while I was off during maternity leave. A special thanks goes to Jean McElroy, our communications coordinator. Jean, if you could stand, you already are standing. Round of applause. Thank you. Thank you very much. I certainly appreciate it to all the staff, and then specifically to Jean as well. So. Bret mentioned this briefly when he covered his agenda items. We also, in addition to the gate and traffic survey, have a community-wide survey coming up. You may remember this survey that we did back in October of 2015. This is that similar type of survey that we will be bringing to you again. We are working on finalizing the survey right now with USCB. The University of South Carolina Beaufort will be our survey facilitator for this project. We're looking to gather community feedback on a variety of topics. So we're going to be asking you lots of different things that we need feedback on. The survey will be available by email only, and it will be sent to the emails that we have in our CSA database. So if you do not have emails, please get your email over to us. If you're interested in getting the survey, you can send an email to info@csacpines.com, and we'd be able to get you in that database so you can make sure you get it. The survey will be sent out via email on March 14th, so a week from today. We're looking forward to getting it out to you guys. And we will be bringing the results of the survey back to the community once it's compiled so you can see what the results were. Upcoming events in March. We do have several items to talk about here. I will try to cover them as quickly as possible. Our flower rotation is currently in process, so we take the flowers out of the beds and get them switched over. Right now we're putting in, we will be putting in the geraniums, which are those really pretty red flowers everybody really loves. First come, first served down at the Lawton Canal number 4, which is the maintenance building. You can come and get the flowers that were removed from the beds, and then if you'd like to, you can replant them. The Hilton Head Wine and Food Festival is on March the 8th through the 11th. It's at various Sea Pines resort locations. HiltonHeadWineandFood.com is the website. I have that up there more specifically just so you are aware that we will see increased traffic this weekend because of the Wine and Food Festival, so keep that in mind. In addition, we also have the St. Patrick's Day Parade this coming Sunday, which is always a really fun time. It's the reminder there is specifically related to parking. So if you are going to attend or if you plan to attend, you can park in the trolley lot, lot 1, and just walk down to the parade location of your choice. But we ask that you don't park on the side roads or the streets around the gate, just to not impede the flow of traffic. So you can park in the trolley lot. And you can visit HiltonHeadIreland.org for more information related to the parade. We have a wellness bus coming up on March 22nd. That event is going to be out here in the parking lot from 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock. Blood pressure and glucose testing are free, but if you'd like to have a lipid panel or a prostate test, PSA, that will be $10 fee. The ASPO board meeting is on March 22nd at 9 a.m. The CSA board meeting is on March 27th at 3 p.m. And then David will speak, I'm covering this. The Forest Preserve and Party in the Pines is coming up as well at the end of the month, March 31st from 4:30 to 7:30. It's out Fish Island. The tickets are on sale now. It's a great event. This is one of the 2 fundraising events that the Forest Preserve does. We encourage that you guys come out, bring your family. It's going to be held during Easter weekend, so it's a really great way to get the family involved and show them the beautiful area that is the Forest Preserve. You can go to seapinesforestpreserve.org to purchase tickets online, or you can go to the CSA Administration Office. Another note for the month of March, our trolley service begins on March 22nd. This is a trolley schedule for 2018. Our maps for the trolleys will be available coming up shortly. I'll be emailing out the copy of the schedule, but they also will be available for pickup in the kiosk once trolley season starts. You see here on the 26th that we have a run of about a week. Then we have the heritage schedule. The trolley schedules do differ from the normal schedule versus the heritage schedule. And then we do take a break here. So that's something that's new for us in 2018. We only did, Toby's here, but 138, Toby? For that week of the after the heritage, it was only like 138 people that we moved. So we have we're going to take a break following the heritage, and then we will pick back up on April 30th for the regular schedule. So this will be coming to your emails here shortly as well for that trolley schedule, so you guys can have a copy of that. In April, we have our coffee on April 4th at 9. Town Councilman Tom Lennox, is hosting a town hall meeting here on April 6th at 4 p.m. He'll be addressing some of the town priorities and initiatives, so all property owners are encouraged to attend that event. Toby will touch on the RBC Heritage, but those are the dates in the website where you can find out more information and get tickets. We have a community shredding event coming up on April 26th from 9 to 12. That'll be here at the Sea Pines Center parking lot. We do ask that if you are going to bring items, that if they're in binders, that you take them out of the binders because they can't be put into the truck. But if they're stapled or if they're paper clipped, that is appropriate. We are also hosting our annual ASPO CSA annual board meeting on April 30th from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock at the Sea Pines Country Club. I'll be sending out information for webinar signups as well as Eventbrite ticket signups. We are limited to about 350 seating capacity over at the Country Club, so we'll be sending that information out. And then towards the end of the month, you'll be seeing your annual proxies come to your mailbox as well. So we do ask that you return your proxies so we can ensure quorum for that meeting. This one here, if you have any questions that you'd like to send to us in advance of the annual meeting, we ask for those questions to be given to us by April 23rd. You can send them to questions@csaseapines.com. And just as a reminder, we don't have any CSA or ASPO board meetings in the month of April. May, we have our coffee on the 2nd at 9 a.m., our ASPO board meetings on the 17th at 9, CSA board meeting on the 22nd at 3, and then we have a community blood drive scheduled for May 30th. We are working to set the time right now, and signups will be coming to you guys soon. So I'm glad to be back, glad to see friendly faces in the audience, and as a reminder, if you have any type of update that you need to your contact information, if you have any questions, shoot them to me, info@csaseapines.com. I will pass it now to Russell, who will cover maintenance project updates. Thank you, guys. Thanks.
Good morning. Well, I'll try and be as quick as Amanda was. Holy cow. My gosh. What'd you have for breakfast? Well, let me know what that is later, Amanda. So. We've been really busy here in the maintenance department over the winter and just recently completed some projects. I'm not sure if everyone's had a chance to look at those. Greenwood and Sea Pines intersection turned out very, very well. Received a lot of positive feedback, some of the changes down there. Our last phase of the project is to install our geraniums in that center island. All the road striping, curbing, and asphalt work has all been completed. And then we'll be monitoring the traffic in the intersection, working with Toby to make sure vehicles are obeying the stop signs and so forth down there. 2 significant boardwalk projects. Boardwalk number 11, which is about 600 feet of additional boardwalk out to the beach, and number 12 have recently been completed. Our contractor did an excellent job with this. Had been down there just past Tower Beach, but it's really, again, just a beautiful site. You really need binoculars to see from one end to the other of these boardwalks. They're quite long. So, recently completed projects, and one we're partially still working on, the Monarch Leisure Trail, which is adjacent to Beach Lagoon. installed this new leisure path connecting the parking lot to Sea Pines Drive, and we're again still working on the landscaping. Most recently, we completed pothole repair on North Sea Pines Drive to Lighthouse Road. This is an area that we're going to be working on surveying this coming season to look at the overall condition of the roadway and see where we can make some possible changes in the future. Crosswalk stamping, South Sea Pines Drive, we just stamped a new crosswalk at Beach Walk 24 and also 2 at South Beach. This is in an effort to improve pedestrian safety in the area. We also have some additional crosswalks we'll be stamping on Sea Pines Drive later this season. Some other projects are in progress. Open space mulching, you've probably seen the crews working on Plantation Drive. And then as Amanda mentioned, the flower bed change out. It's amazing the turnout that we've had at the maintenance building. I'm really considering a new location because the cars have been lined up 10 to 15 deep on, and the landscapers actually can't get the flowers out of the trucks fast enough before people are picking them up. So I didn't realize that certainly it's very, very popular, and everyone's down there picking up the snapdragons and everything else that we just pulled out. So. As Amanda mentioned, the new flowers are going in as we speak. A couple of projects that we have in the queue that we're working through concept plans, and we presented this last year after the Greenwood Drive and Sea Pines intersection work. There's a project in the queue to add 2 new timber bridges on Sea Pines Drive connecting the leisure trail to the beach walks. And again, this is a concept on the left of what the bridge may look like. And again, we wanted to try and work towards a design that would be open and improve public safety. So as someone's crossing the bridge, they'd be easily seen as a vehicle would be coming down Sea Pines Drive. There's actually 4 bridges in the area. One at number 24. The 2 new bridges that we're proposing, and then another existing bridge on the corner of Greenwood Drive and Sea Pines that we're looking towards replacing as well if everything works out from a budgetary standpoint. Additional concept plan that we're working through, ARB. There's a railing, as you can see on the left, is in pretty bad shape. This has come up in a couple of our committee meetings. There's numerous other railings similar to this that our CSA sign shop most likely produced many, many years ago. And we're looking to have that same look and carry through this same kind of approach in this effort as we would with the Sea Pines bridges. So from an architectural standpoint, everything would kind of tie together. So again, these are concept plans that we're currently working through. Another concept plan is the improvement of the intersection landscape enhancement of Lighthouse Road and Plantation Drive. The planting that's there is pretty outdated, really needs some work. So we wanted to really make this a focal point in the community and adding a very low brick wall behind the plantings and incorporating a new floral display, new landscape elements, and again, something to really kind of draw the attention as you're coming down into what, the main entry into the Harbortown area. So again, we're currently working through this and presented to our MEMP committee just last week, and it was everyone is received that and fully supportive of this effort. Some capital equipment purchases to keep our fleet moving. We've actually received most of these items, but a new articulated loader for our trash pickup throughout the community, a new boat for treating our lagoons, and a new utility tractor for helping us maintain the trolley lots in Forest Preserve and other areas throughout the community. Regarding our hydrology plan and study, we've been working on obtaining this new capital equipment, and some of you may have seen this out there already, but this is a vacuum extractor in the top right, and it's going to allow us to really improve over time cleaning out all the catch basins and pipe ends. With this effort, and I'll talk about it a little bit more, we added 2 new staff, and they're really off and running. They've been equipped with iPads out in the field, and they're able to use the Sea Pines drainage map to facilitate their work and have that as efficient as possible. Some other equipment that we've purchased is some pumps, and excavator, and dump truck, again, to really kind of make this operation run smoothly. The excavator is an essential piece of equipment when we're excavating next to pipe ends and ditches and all that sort of stuff. So, and all this equipment's just rolling in over the last couple weeks. So the hydrology plan is something that we've had a lot of questions on. Some time back, our engineer Ray Pittman had made a presentation to the community, just to give some examples of some of the items that we're running across, and some of this initial cleaning work that we've been doing this for quite some time since I've been here. But clogged catch basins, manhole covers that are just completely full of sediment, and then pipes that are full of roots, pipes that are collapsed, pipes that are fully clogged with sediment. So these are all things that are going to take us an enormous amount of time to clean out. There's well over 1,000 service requests that were identified by Pittman Engineering in the hydrology study. So we're working towards, again, this effort to clean out all these pipes. So just briefly to summarize, I know we're going to have a few questions on this, but from a management perspective, it's easy for us on the maintenance side to divide the property into zones, and just by the sheer way they're numbered, I'm sure the number one questions will, when's my pipe or catch basin going to be cleaned? But this is just really a methodology for us to work from, just using roadways as boundaries, and we could easily track the work that's going on in some of these areas. Some areas have more priorities than others. Some areas have work that the town is doing, and some of the areas have work that we're doing. So again, don't be alarmed by the zone numbers, but currently we're working. We have been working down in Harbortown, and then primarily up in the Club Course area, as well as some other areas in the community. But we're looking to get Harbortown completed before the tournament rolls in. So again, I mentioned the two new staff, and again, you've probably seen the staff out there working. Their main focus, as I mentioned, is cleaning sediment and debris from the pipe ends, head walls, and culverts. And they're going to be working systematically throughout the community and then reporting back what they've completed. Once they've completed that work, we're going to be updating the hydrology study in that list. So that's our goal over the next few months. And it's hard to say exactly how long some of this stuff is going to take. Because I could tell you, we sent the crew out to clear a pipe on Club Course just last week, and they were there a couple days cleaning it out, and that pipe was fully obstructed. So again, it's some easy math would tell you, you could get through this in 6 months if there's 1,000 requests, and you could do 15 catch basins a day, but that's certainly not the case. On the right here. Just wanted to show a picture. This is a dredging operation that we completed this past fall on Beach Lagoon. Currently, we're working with South Carolina OCRM and to obtain a permit to be able to dredge the lagoons throughout Sea Pines. Now, I don't know exactly what they're going to permit us to do, but we're working on a plan, and that would be the next phase of our operation down the line. We've brought on the staff for the storm drain crew. That we would also look to potentially bring on staff for a dredging crew as well. And this effort would be to keep the lagoons in healthy standing, to clear out the sediment. We look to accomplish this through a mechanical dredge, which is the most environmentally sensitive and appropriate method to clean out this sediment, versus draining the lagoons and going in there with an excavator or something like that, and having to pull the fish out and things of that nature. Just briefly mention the town of Hilton Head. I think this has been mentioned in previous coffees. They do have a $650,000 budget for the season for FY18, which goes through the summer. Some of the things that they're working on are infrastructure, repair of control structures, also pipe replacement on some roads like Spotted Sandpiper. They're currently working on 7 locations where they're performing ditch maintenance throughout Sea Pines, where we have ditches that are obstructed with vegetation and preventing flow. So again, they are working on this. They had started it the week before, and expect them to be in here throughout the next month working on this. One of the things that we have to do with the town is submit our request well in advance. So back in December, we submitted well over 43 requests for FY19, which would be their budget year would be starting later this summer. So they're still reviewing those requests, and we're looking to hear more exactly what request may be completed. And with that, I'll turn it over to David Henderson.
Thank you, Russell, and good morning. Give you a quick update on where we are on the Forest Preserve. And for those of you that regularly attend these meetings, you'll recall that since August, when the work began, I have, at most, if not all, of the coffees tried to keep you abreast of the activities that were going on in the Forest Preserve. And for those of you that are not aware, what we were doing is essentially a salvage timber harvest necessitated by Hurricane Matthew. We had many thousands of trees that were directly impacted by Matthew. They either fell to the ground or they were significantly damaged. We also are doing a good bit of forest health improvement work, in which we are, in many cases, thinning to desired levels to allow ground covers and mid-stories that previously were unable to grow because of the canopy closure from the trees that were there. And so we're doing all this work at the same time, and the majority of the work has been completed, although we've been down since Thanksgiving because of ground conditions. The ground was too wet to work. Now that we're getting into the beginning of the growing season, and the last couple of rains, including yesterday's, missed us, even though we do need it, we do anticipate resuming work very soon. But I wanted to put this map up here to show you where we are currently working, which is this area in here, and indicated as closed. For safety reasons, we do close off these areas, and what we're primarily doing right now is cleaning up. So we're cleaning up the logging decks, which is kind of the hub of the activity within the area, and also restoring and repairing roads and trails that were affected by the logging operations. I would like to point out, if you look on this map, that you can still access Fish Island, which has been open the entire time. And then here just recently, we were able to restore access to the Shell Ring, which is a popular attraction for people to visit when they're out there. And there will be additional work in those areas. But again, for safety reasons, we do close them down while the work is ongoing. I showed you this picture last month on the left, and it was of a very unsightly logging deck. This one is off of Pitt Road, and the picture on the right is the after the cleanup has been done. What we are doing after going forward for the entirety of the preserve, and specifically these areas, is we've developed objectives for a land management plan. Those objectives will be reviewed by the Forest Preserve Foundation trustees this month, and if approved, we will begin to implement management actions that will help us meet these objectives. So specifically to the logging decks, what we are wanting to do or proposing to do is to install native plantings that will improve the aesthetic, but also promote habitat and wildlife diversification. This next photo is another logging deck. This is the deck where work is currently going on, and it is within the closed yellow area that I'd indicated to you a couple slides ago. We're almost done with this, so hopefully next time I'm before you, I'll have a nice after photo and a series of photos as we go forward, because the conditions that are there today are not the conditions that will be there tomorrow and next year. This is a process, and I think at the end, everyone will be very pleased, but it is a process, but I want to keep you all informed as to where we are and the progress that we are making. Switch gears to the beach a little bit. The town is initiating an island-wide sand fencing and vegetation project. I haven't had an update this week from Scott Liggett, but my understanding is that the work has begun or is imminent to begin. Again, it is for the entirety of Hilton Head's oceanfront, and it is expected to be completed late spring. I've showed this slide before. This is related to the issue of OCRM, or the Office of Coastal Resource Management, and how they go through a process to establish their jurisdictional lines. It involves a baseline and a setback line. You can go online to scdhec.gov and look under beach management to get more details on this. But as it currently stands, they are looking to adopt their proposed revisions to the lines. This is a process they go through every 7 to 10 years, with the public comment period ending April 6th of this year. There is legislation that is currently moving through the South Carolina Senate and House, and this proposed legislation would change the process and the methodology that OCRM uses while setting these lines, and there'll be more information as it is forthcoming. We've been following it very closely, and it is legislation with many different interest groups involved. It is sausage is proverbially being made, and so it's a little bit different each day. Some things you like, some things you don't like, but we're hopeful at the end that the beachfront owners will have a greater ability to comment on the lines as they're being proposed, and a better ability to be heard. This last process, due to some state-mandated statute requirements, was admittedly rushed. And these lines are important. They're not only important for the oceanfront owner, because it depending on where you fall within these jurisdictional lines, can affect what you can and you can't do with your property, particularly if we were to have another event. But I would argue that it affects the entire community, and that from a property value perspective, and that the bar in the community is set at the beach and kind of works its way back from there. So anything that would affect property values at the beach could potentially affect all of your property values. All right, we're going to go on to the community digital sign. Amanda, some time ago, had presented on this project, and what we have here, and again, this has previously been presented. On the left, you see our wrong button. You see our existing sign. This particular sign is at the Greenwood gate. We also have one at the Ocean gate. And then on the right is the digital sign and the surround that has been developed, reviewed, and approved by the ARB. The sign panels have been ordered, and you will hopefully see as early as Friday at both the gates activity in which they are essentially burying or boring the conduits that will provide the power and the data lines that these signs need. We do not anticipate any lane closures, but when you're in that area, please just exercise extra vigilance as you go through that work area as they work to install that needed infrastructure for the signs. There are 2 more signs that are part of this program. One of them is going to go here at the community center, and the other one will go at CSA. And it will be really nice in that Amanda and her team will be able to change these signs anywhere they have internet access. So whether it's a hurricane evacuation or something pops up, our current process is that the sign shop has to go through the pretty laborious process of cutting vinyl, applying the vinyl, installing it. It's a very antiquated system. So we're hoping not only to be able to communicate with you quicker and more efficiently, but also to improve the aesthetic. And the neat thing is that these 4 panels, or so I'm told, will be able to mirror one another, or they could independently, if needed, have their various messages. So look for that soon. I'm going to finish up with some ARB tree fund plantings that have recently been done. If any of you have ever gone to the ARB to request a tree removal, you are aware that you have a choice. You have a choice of either mitigating or planting back a tree to help replace what you took out, or you can contribute $50 to the tree replacement fund. And the vast majority of people, because it is easier, quicker, and cheaper, will contribute $50 to the fund. So they accumulate these monies, and then they use them for various tree projects. And there are numerous examples through through the community, but I just wanted to show you two areas where this had recently been done. This is at Tower Beach, again affected by the hurricanes. We lost some good screening trees that were there, primarily pine trees. So on the left you see the before, and you have a pretty good view from the parking lot of the covered pavilion there. And then on the left you see the two live oaks. There's one here, and there's one there, that were installed at Tower Beach that helped soften that view and fill some of that dead space that the hurricanes gave us. Next one, and after it's a little bit harder to see, but I'll point them out. So if you're going down, we'll call it south on Greenwood Drive, just before Fraser Circle. This would be on your right, just before you get to Fraser Circle. 4 live oaks, and these are beautiful trees. They're 8-inch caliber trees. You just look for the little gopher mounds. There's one there, one there, one there, and one there. There were 3 additional that went in at Fraser Circle. So again, if you're continuing south, you enter the circle. As soon as you enter the circle, before you would get to Lighthouse Road towards Harbortown, there are 3 that went in there. And again, that was to fill a pretty large area where there was a large tree or trees that came down with the storms. So we wanted to acknowledge the ARB and thank them for what they contribute to help beautify our community, and also to let you know that $50 check that you write them when you want to remove a tree does go to good use. All right, with that, I'll turn it over to Toby, and thank you for your time.
Good morning. I will try to keep with the pace that everybody else is moving along here today. I just got some updates I'd like to go over with you. From the security department, we have been fairly busy, especially at the gates. If we continue the current pace that we're keeping with right now, we'll probably set another record next year on daily pass sales. Right now, we're averaging about 1,000 passes per gate during the day shift. So that equates to about 125 passes an hour is what's being sold, and we're not really in the season yet. So the gates are busy. You're seeing a lot of traffic, and we're trying to keep up with that. The issues at hand, we've had some reports of burglaries that never really panned out to be a burglary, some suspicious activity, somebody come around. It could have been a service worker, but no forced entries or anything like that's occurred. The biggest thing that we have going on right now is our pets. We're back to the pet issue again, and right now the problem seems to be coming primarily out of the club course area. And I'll state what the law is again. If your animal, whether it be your goat, your potbelly pig, whatever pet you have, has to stay on your property. You can let it off leash and it can run around your yard until the tongue hangs out. That's perfectly fine. Once it leaves your property, it has to be on a leash. That's the law. And we have issued some tickets, and I got to tell you, the tickets they're not cheap. They're very expensive to, 1, let your animal run off leash, and 2, not picking up after your animal. That's also against the law. So please help us with that. With the animals, the Forest Preserve is also not the pet's playground. If you're in the Forest Preserve, they are required to be on a leash. Be very mindful while in the Forest Preserve with your dog or cat. The coyotes are active right now. We had reports as of last week in the club course area. We had a cat problem here several years ago, and I actually think that's why the coyotes are pretty active in club course right now, is because of the stray cats that are running about that we've been trying to catch. So please keep that in mind. I want to address something real quickly at Tower Beach. Last week, I had a new officer that's been in training. I went down. We received some reports at Tower Beach that there were some cars down there that weren't supposed to be there. The officer got down and got really excited with his ticket book, and some tickets were put on, or a ticket was put on a property owner's car that actually had a decal on it. That's obviously a mistake that the officer made by putting the ticket on the car. And with that, I'm just going to say, I understand that the security department here in Sea Pines is not everybody's favorite department. I don't get to put the red flowers out, and sometimes my interaction with the community is not all good. And I understand that there's property owners that do not care for me or the staff that we employ. I understand that. With that, since I've been here, this past July, I was here for 4 years. There's not been one complaint against an officer that I have not personally looked into. So if you have an issue with someone that works in the security department, and that includes the trolley operation, the gates, and the patrol, the security admin, if there's an issue with the employees, if you want me to address it, please call me. What I read on Facebook, I was a little disappointed, I got to tell you. And with that, if you do not want the security department, Sea Pines, to respond to your house to help you for whatever that need may be, you have the option to call the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office. He is required by law to respond to your home of whatever complaints you have. So if you don't want Sea Pines Security to respond, that's not a problem. You can call the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office and they will respond. We're working, we're still in training. We're not perfect. And we obviously have addressed this issue with the officer, and it was complete oversight. We are scheduled to put the gate officer at Tower Beach the week of the tournament, and then probably from there on, you will probably see the officer there full time. We are working toward, which Bret mentioned earlier, with our ABDI program. The system that we put at Tower Beach, before we ever put it into operation, we want to make sure that it's going to work. We're not going to rush through this process because someone wants to see the gate arm going up and down. It's not going to do us any good if it doesn't work. I think we're heading in the right direction. It's going to take us some time. You will probably see the gate officer there again through this season. We're trying with this ABDI. What's going to happen next year is that you're going to have to come into CSA to get a new decal for your vehicle and a new ID card. And what I'm trying not to do is make you come in to get an ID card or whatever that mechanism is going to be to open up the Tower Beach gate arm and then drag you right back in January to give you the decals for your car. So I'd only like for you to come in once if we've got to bring you in. So that's what we're working on. Tower Beach, we're going to have the officer there. Landscapers, and it's not just necessarily landscapers, but this is anything. If you have a project going on at your house and you're redoing your driveway, or you're having your whole new house outfitted with furniture and you're going to have a delivery, please call us. You know, if you live on the T Street and there's a 55-foot tractor trailer that's going to bring you a new bed, we probably need to assist them. And so what we don't want is to get a call where traffic's at a standstill and we've got a driver from Charlotte that doesn't know where Harbortown is. We're having to assist with that. So if you got that stuff, planning, cement, whatever's taking place with big trucks, call us. Doesn't cost you anything. We'll help the driver get down there, get them backed in, get them offloaded, and send them on their way. IRS, if you get a telephone call and someone wants to deliver your IRS refund to you, they're not calling my house. I'm writing the check this year. It's a scam. Okay, so Uncle Sam's not going to call you and say, where do you want us to mail your check to? They know where you live at. You get your tax bill in the mail. The scams are running wild right now over the telephone, so please be very cautious. Okay, moving on to the Heritage. The dates, April 9th to the 15th. And let me just start by saying I realize it's a tough time. It's a tough week for the property owners who give up their freedom of movement around the community to allow this to occur. This is the 50th RBC Heritage, 50 years. We're the 4th oldest PGA Tour event out there. That says something, that this community opens up their doors to allow these players to come in here and entertain us for the week, but we do realize we give up a lot when they're here. And I ask you to work with us on that. But this year, the dates, I'm sure you already know this, the 9th through the 15th. March 26th, we're doing things a little bit differently this year. If you would stand up there, Sarah. This is Sarah. It's our office manager. If you call our office and think you called across the pond, that's who you're talking to. We are starting hang tag distribution for the property owners and the rental companies starting March 26th. So if you live in an affected area where you're required to have a hang tag to get you to your home when the roadblocks go up, you can start coming in March 26th, and we'll start issuing those. With your hang tags, the hang tags are for you, or they're for the property owners. And I ask, if you got friends that live in Long Cove and you get 3 hang tags, but you only have 1 car and you're going to let your friends use it, that's not a problem. If you lose your hang tag, you do not get replacements. You will have to come to the office to get a one-shot to get you through the roadblocks. So hopefully everybody understands that. Do not sell your hang tag. Okay? Please don't do that. We have enough moving parts going on to get, our biggest issue is to get you to your home and clear you through the roadblocks. What we don't want is those people that are not supposed to be in possession of them. And every year we have an issue with someone photocopying a hang tag. Staples calls every year. Someone's up there copying the hang tags. So please don't do that. So March 26th, we'll run it through the tournament. Sarah and the staff will be there during the week of the tournament. For your hang tags, if you're a rental company, if you're a property owner who rents your home, you are required to contact us, and we need it in writing. If you are not going to be here during the week and someone is going to live in your house for that week and you want to give the hang tags to them, you have got to contact our office. They can't show up and say, I'm renting the Joneses' house. It does not work that way. We need your permission in order to release the hang tags. Please do that through Sarah. The trolleys will be running. We have a nice new trolley map that's already been printed. We did make some changes to the trolleys. We're not starting them quite as early. I think we backed them up an hour, actually 2 hours, because we started at 6 a.m. last year. We're starting at 8 a.m. This year. No one was really wanting to see a ball in the air at daylight. So we backed the trolleys up. We will have an attendant at Tower Beach. So if you want to park at Tower Beach, the trolley will drive behind the gatehouse there at Tower Beach. You can jump on it, and we'll take you down to Liberty Oak and drop you off, same as last year. The only other change that we've made with the trolleys, we've eliminated, or not necessarily eliminated, we've moved a trolley spot in the club course area, and now we're going to the Sea Pines Country Club to pick up at Sea Pines Country Club this year with the trolleys and the additional 5 vans that we're renting to move the property owners around. Sea Pines Country Club has asked if you live in close proximity, if you can ride your bike, walk, ride your skateboard, however you get to Sea Pines Country Club without your car, they would greatly appreciate it. But you can park there. I think there's going to be some festivities afterwards, so the trolleys will loop through there. We say roughly every 30 minutes. Don't get angry if it's 35. I mean, because we're moving a lot of people, and every year it seems to be more and more people are riding the trolley, which we want. I mean, it's an easy way for you to get to the tournament. Roadblocks that we have outside will go up at 6 a.m. in the morning. So you can't get through. If you can sneak through before 6 a.m., if you're going for an early cup of coffee, not a problem. After 6 a.m., you're going to have a hang tag. Changes this year, parking. Not many changes with the parking this year. Spectators, general spectators are still parking outside of Sea Pines. There's no change to that. All the lots that we were using in the previous years are the same lots again this year. Lot 1, which is at the trolley station. When you come in the Greenwood gate, on your immediate left, a property owner, your relative, a long-term renter, and a resort guest. And when I say resort guest, that's not the $6 guest that comes and gives us $6. That's someone that is staying at a rental property in Sea Pines, a resort guest. Can park at the lot 1, jump on the bus, because we're not running the trolleys from that lot. The big 55-passenger buses are running from the trolley lots. They'll take you down to Harbor Town and drop you off. So you can go there. So if you don't live near the golf course, go park there. We'll give you a free ride down to the tournament. And the buses will run pretty late in the evening all week long. The VIPs, that will also be a VIP lot for the tournament as well. Parking. With the parking, the last 2 years, the cars that have been towed during tournament time are property owners' cars. So don't park where you're not supposed to, because if you park inside of a rope, or you take a rope down, or you pull off to the shoulder road, your car probably will not be there when you get back. So park in the designated areas. We have plenty of spots to park. You can ride your bike to the tournament. We're adding more bicycle racks this year. It's been very popular, especially when the weather is nice. You can ride your bike down, leave it at a rack. One of the significant changes that we're doing this year is our Uber and taxis. Last year during the tournament, we ran Thursday through Sunday, Uber ran 3,700 trips into Harbortown. That's too many. It's great that people have found another way to get to the tournament, but what we're doing this year for an Uber, taxis, Lyft, whatever the case may be, if we have someone from outside that's coming to the tournament via one of those mechanisms, they're going to get dropped off at the old bank right out here in the parking lot. So they're going to come here and make a loop into the old bank in the corner of Seapine Center. They're going to drop the guest off there, and they can walk down the little short path here, make a left-hand turn on Plantation, and they can go out at 1 Green. A property owner, if you are going to the airport and you need a cab or whatever the case may be, and you live in a restricted area that's inside of a roadblock, please call dispatch. We'll get the cab to you. That's not a problem. I'd ask you to do that in advance, because what we're trying to accomplish is during the week of the tournament, if we don't have players and caddies, we don't have a tournament. And what we don't want is for a player to have to arrive at Harbortown 3 hours before their tee time because they're afraid they're not going to be able to get through traffic to get to the clubhouse. So what we're doing is trying to clear that traffic out. All 134 tour players and their caddies park at Harbortown. That's our primary mission, is to get them to the golf course. And then the 18 buses coming from Honeyhorn, the 16 buses coming from Coligny, all that traffic is going to Harbortown. So the last thing we need is Uber and the taxis running around an area that we just really don't need, and that's going to increase. So that is a big change for us this year. Prohibited items. We always are going to have this issue with 654 homes that line the fairways of Harbortown. If someone walking on the golf course with something they're not supposed to, you can't bring your beach bag to the golf tournament. The bag, a lady's handbag, is 6 by 6. You can bring a 6 by 6 bag that you cannot see through. Anything larger than a 6 by 6 has to be in a clear bag, which is 12 by 12. So if you've got this big bag that you carry, we're not going to tag it and let you walk around the golf course. What they're going to do, the security that finds you, and it's probably going to be roughly about 100 people policing the golf course, they're going to escort you off the golf course. So don't even show up with it. If you have friends coming via the buses that are being provided from spectator parking, they will not let you on a bus with a prohibited item. So if you got this big umbrella that you take to the beach, you can't bring that to the tournament. You can bring a small umbrella without the case. You can bring your binoculars, but not the binocular case that it goes in. The prohibited items list are listed there. And lastly, we've done a good job with the security this year. There's 13 agencies that help us out that run the security during the tournament. I think we have the guns covered. We don't need your concealed weapons permit and your firearm with you at the tournament. Leave those at home. So please help us on the prohibited items. Don't bring those. The Heritage app that they used to run, it was a Heritage app you could go and keep up with the leaderboard and so forth. They're doing away with that, and the tournament this year is combining with the Chamber of Commerce's Hilton Head, I think it's called the Compass app. Download that app to your smartphone. You can get all tournament updates, whatever the case may be. They're just kind of combining together with the app program. So that's where you will get the updates from the tournament. Bicycle racks I mentioned. Plan for the weather. Look at the calendar. We, from the security side, and the people that we're bringing in, we estimate it takes us about an hour prior to the arrival of a storm to clear the golf course if it's Friday afternoon at 2 o'clock and we're packed. It takes us about an hour to clear everything out. So if there's a weather approach in the area, we've already worked this out with the PGA Tour. We're going to put it up on the Jumbotrons. Check your phone. If it's bad and we don't want you standing near the golf course or underneath the tree, we're going to want you to leave. And we don't have enough covered area to provide for everyone that's on the golf course. Last year, 134,000 people walked around the yacht basin at Harbortown. We can't clear the golf course out very quickly and line 18 buses up and load everyone on them. It's just that math doesn't work. So plan for the weather, and please be watching for that. One thing that I do want you to take away from here today, if you see something, say something. If you see something strange going on the golf course, call the security department, find a volunteer, find someone that's some official with the tournament, and let them know. If it turns out to be nothing, that's not a problem. But if you see something that's odd, and we've had some odd stuff come up over the years, I could put some pictures up and you'd be like, why would someone do that? You know, the college kids burying on ice chests at one green. See, that seems a red flag up. They're digging through the pine straw and there's this white lid under the ground. They buried it the night before. So that's odd. We want to know that. So call that in. So if you see something, just give us a call. The daily tickets. If a spectator has a daily ticket or a clubhouse badge, we will let them in to Sea Pines free of charge during the week of the tournament after 6:30 p.m. So prior to that, cannot come in. You can come in, but it'll cost you $6. But there's nowhere for them to park. You can go to South Beach. You can go to Sea Pine Center here. You can go to the Plantation Club, but you can't go anywhere else near Harbor Town. But we will let you in after 6:30 with an official tournament ticket of the day starting after 6:30. If you live on Harbor Town, construction at your homes, whatever you have going on, will be suspended during the week of the tournament. And I've got to write out today because I know that we have several homes that are under construction. We can't have framers with air guns during the week of the tournament. And I understand you're trying to get a home built. We get that. But it's just one of those things that we're not going to be able to allow. If you've got something where your house is almost completed and it's inside work, we'll take those on a case-by-case basis, but it's going to be very limited of any. We don't want your landscaper blowing leaves at 11 o'clock on Friday, because a lot of these guys are still trying to make their way on the tour, and this is their office. I mean, we're watching them and having a good time, having a cocktail, but these guys are trying to play to get in the next week, and we don't want to be that tournament that disrupts play. So construction will be limited. The last that I have is just a couple things. Opening ceremony this year is at 10 a.m. It will be held at the 18th green. I guess I could probably talk about the cannon, couldn't I? Yeah. When I first got here, I realized that the CSA owned the cannon that is fired during the tournament. And Bret and I, we always wondered, why do we own it? Because, I would love to shoot a cannonball over to Defusky, but I'm sure someone might frown on that. So we have since, with our lawyers, given the cannon back to the RBC Heritage. That's the only time we fire it. I don't think we put bushes or anything out in the maintenance department where we fire it, but we have it back. We have actually had it restored. I hauled the cannon to Blaine, Tennessee, to a cannoneer, which I found on the internet. He had actually drilled the barrel. They tapped the barrel. They put a brand new sleeve inside the barrel. If you look at it, you probably wouldn't notice anything different about it. We used to put 1.5 pounds of black powder in it. Now we can use a 0.5 pound, and it's just as loud. So you still bring your earplugs because you'll get the effect out of it. But we've got that done. But the opening ceremony will start at 10. The tournament has invited many of the past champions. So this year at the tournament, you're going to see not only what the heck is his name that won it last year? Wesley Bryant. Good grief. South Carolina boy. In addition to Wesley, who obviously will hit the ball to the Calabogie, they've invited many of the past champions who have already RSVP'd that they will be at the opening ceremony this year. So if you want to see some past champions, come on out. We're looking to expect it to be not only a big opening ceremony, but ticket sales are going very, very good. So if you have not bought your ticket, you may want to buy your tickets, because I would venture to say we're probably going to sell out. They haven't released the players list other than the RBC ambassadors, which also includes the #1 player in the world, Dustin Johnson, will be here this year. So here in the next week, you'll probably start seeing the player list come out of who's already committed to play in the tournament. There will be a kids zone at the Heritage Lawn. That's the 17th green. So we've turned the Drunk Fest into a kids zone. And I mean that nicely, if Steve will mind if you're listening. So if you have kids, there's going to be a hitting cage for kids 15 and under. So take your kids out there. It's going to completely a different atmosphere there. The Boeing flyover is still scheduled for Saturday at 4 o'clock. We have not, or they have not, found an aircraft yet, but they're working on that. I'm like, well, they build them. Just build one. So we're still trying to find the aircraft, but that's when it's scheduled to go. And we've moved the festivities at the Heritage Lawn. Now we're taking it to the 15th green. There's a new beer garden there. I think the tournament is working around, because I said, well, we've got a beer garden, we've got Heritage Lawns, we should do shots at 6. Well, I think next year we'll probably have shots at 6. But There is a new beer garden at 15 Green, so if you like custom beer, it's supposed to be a really nice setup. They're doing that at 15 Green. And then after you drink the beer, on Sunday morning at 7:30, we're having a sunrise service. So you can drink the day before. We'll pray for you at 7:30 Sunday morning. That's at the 18th Green. So come to the grandstands. Normally they have someone from Christian Athletes, one of the tour players, will come and speak. That really has gotten very big year after year. So at 7:30 Sunday morning, 18th Green, there's a sunrise service. And I think that's all I have. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Toby. So just to reiterate all the information that Toby just covered, we'll be sending out in communications to you guys, so you don't have to sit and write all that stuff down. It'll be coming out to you guys with copies of the heritage, trolley maps, and all the information that Toby has just given to us. I'm going to pass it to Bret really quickly, who has a few final remarks, and then we'll take our break. Bret?
Really just a quick Toby story. I'm walking into the office one day, I guess it was sometime last fall, and I'm walking up and I look over and Toby's truck's there, and he's got a cannon loaded in the back of the truck facing the rear. So I said, well, they must be, taking it to a shipper somewhere to ship off. I said, no, I'm driving it up there. I said, well, Toby, you're going to where? Tennessee? Tennessee. Staying overnight on the way. I said, you better cover the cannon. With that, I'd like to take about a 5-minute break. We'll be right back.
Of Harbor Town golf links in preparation for the Heritage. We do have a few lists, about 20 copies, and we have additional if you don't pick one up here at the CSA office. This lists out the roadways that require hang tags. So if you live in and around that area and would like a copy, we have about 20. Again, if you don't get one, if we run out, we will have them up at CSA, and I'll also continue to put this out communication-wise to you guys via email in our Facebook page and on our website. But these are just handy right now. If you happen to live in that zone, we can get you one and make notice. So we will start our question and answer session. David Henderson over there, if you give us a wave, has a microphone. I have the other microphone. Please do wait to be selected, and then we will have Bret direct us as to which questions we'll take next.
Thank you, Amanda. Quick follow-up from the last meeting. I wasn't at the last coffee, but understand from Gene that there were some questions at the end related to the resort in the Plantation Club and Beach Club. And John Monroe could not be here today, but he did send me a message to indicate that they did build the number of spaces required by the town at both locations. So that was his understanding of it, and that was the confirmation from Cliff Mamakin, their director of maintenance or projects. Pardon me? Parking spaces. Sorry. Okay, questions? Dana? David?
Hi, I have a question for Toby and Bret, probably for you too. That 1,000 person or daily pass increase a day in February, that's really worrying. And last summer was pretty wild with our day passes or our day guests. And I don't think we've reached a decision yet from the gate committee on how we're going to handle that. But I would say until we do, we really need to rely on Toby to know where these 1,000 people are going. And I know in the summer, there are places that I look to, vacant lots, and they're not all going to Sea Pine Center and Harbor Town and South Beach. They're going into our neighborhoods and they're parking and using our beaches. And, to pretend that that isn't happening, it just isn't, realistic. And I want to know, are you all going to be policing our neighborhoods and, watching who's parking where, and how are you going to figure out if the cars that are there are legitimate or not?
Yes, we are policing the neighborhoods. If you live in and anywhere near a beach access point and there's a vacant lot and there's a car pulled up, it's a quick call to the security office and we'll respond down there to determine who that is. We can't, with the number of people coming in, right now we're averaging 1,000 a day shift. That's 125 an hour. I can't tell you where 460,000 people go in a year inside of Sea Pines. I don't have a mechanism to track where the people go. We do realize that we have people come in, and I'm sure some people would come here and stop at Sea Pine Center and jump on a trolley. We don't regulate the trolley either. We don't know if it's a property owner driving the trolley or if it's a resort guest driving the trolley. The trolley's run. There's not a mechanism for me to actually figure that out. But we do police that. So if there's an abandoned car somewhere or an illegal parked car or something going on, that's an easy one. That's a quick call to the security office. But for us the trolley drivers don't know the property owners from the resort guests. So, and we're going to all these destinations, but the closest beach access point would be down at Bob Gossett's place or at the beach club, because we're pull up to literally to their front door. But we're on the trend right now to probably break records than what we did last year on the daily sales. And there's not we're not turning people away. So we're doing what we can. But if you got a complaint concerning it, if it's a beach issue, please let us know.
Let's go to the back here. Oops, that one. Then we'll handle the gentleman in the back row.
I have another traffic question. I'm not sure who it would address it. At the intersection of Lighthouse Road and Plantation Drive, where there is going to be the improvement, the left turn lane, people pull way too far forward, and the people who are trying to make a right-hand turn cannot see around them. There are going to be some bad accidents there. People are going to be T-boned, and I did not know if there was anything that could be done about that. The second traffic question is, when you are leaving Sea Pines, if you want to make a left turn into the Publix parking lot, that new sign there that says left lane, right lane blocks the view almost completely. I don't know if it's my height or if it is other people too, but you can't turn into Publix and see very well.
Addressing the first one, we can have our engineer take a look at Lighthouse and Plantation. That might be stopping lines, and I'm pretty sure we got a stop line down there. But they creep forward, obviously. Yeah. So we can have the engineer look at that intersection, and our staff install the signs, and we'll take a look at that one as well, turn into Publix, because I guess if you are on a smaller vehicle, it might be, because the trees down there, as you all know, are getting bigger and bigger, and you have to almost creep out in that intersection to see, really to get a good line of the left lane. So we'll take a look at that.
Yes, sir.
A two-part question. Does the monitoring of the parking apply to contractors who are working and parking all over neighborhoods? Secondly, I've either missed it or we haven't had an update on the increase to $10 of the gate fee, and could you just address that?
Sure. You want to handle parking?
The parking, in addition to if it's just illegally parked cars, or you think it's a daily pass person trying to sneak out to the beach or get access to the beach, it also applies to the contractor. The contractor issue we battle all the time. Everybody that swings a hammer wants to drive their truck to a site that won't fit all the vehicles. And we're constantly working with ARB to get with the contractor and say, look, park them in lot 1, they've got a carpool to come down, but the parking also applies to the contractor. It does not matter whether a house is under construction or not. And I'm doing what I can to work with ARB and these contractors when they have issues going on or they've got big loads coming in, so it doesn't mess up the road. But I can tell you, very few times of all the stuff that's taking place in ARB do I ever get a call that we've got a tractor trailer coming in with 15 pallets of sod on it. So the parking applies to everyone, to include the contractors. If you find something, have cars parked, call the security office, we can deal with that.
On the gate fee increase, we started a agreement negotiation, I should say, because we had a basic term sheet that was unsigned that we started back in November. We do not have a final document on that, but there is provisions in there for that at the current status for those gate fees to go to $10 at some point. contingent upon a variety of other things. And we are still working through that contract and that agreement. So that's just something that we're, between the parties, which is Sea Pines Center and the Sea Pines Resort and then CSA. And that agreement needs to be first approved by Sea Pines Center and the resort, and then it will go before the board for CSA. This lady here. David?
Yeah, Brett, just as a follow-up to that, I know when I have projects and things that need to get done, I set deadlines. And we're now approaching a second missed opportunity with tourist season right around the corner. So what are we doing to say we will have a decision one way or the other by pick a date? But, I mean, this has just been a rolling discussion for a long time now on the $10.
Yes, that date is set by the resort and Sea Pine Center. Until they come to agreement, I don't have a date.
Well, what is their date?
They don't have a date.
So you don't have a date?
That's correct.
Well, why can't we force it and we
Because
talked
they
about-
have the right.
Yeah, no, the Sea Point Center has the right, but we also have the right not to run our trolleys through their parking lot, which takes a lot of people that come in on a day pass to the beach and other places they want to go. So why don't we enforce the things
We
that we
is
should do
all of us. You
as a-
understand that we
as
is
a
the
C-
resort and
I
the
understand,
commercial
but-
and
but as a-
residents.
But as a residential community portion of the triumvirate, why can't we play
Because
hardball?
That's a board decision.
Okay, so what do we need to do to get the board to get a bit more aggressive?
Well, a few of them are here, so you can talk to them. But that's a board determination. The board approves those things, and we adhere to the plan that is approved by the board.
It's hard for me and maybe some of my neighbors to hear that we are on pace to have another record year with the traffic and all the problems that represents to those of us who own and live here, and yet we can't get, traction. And I hate to think that in another 6 months we'll be having the same conversation.
I mean, the term sheet has been handed over to me and our attorney, and we're working through it with those two parties to try to get agreement between them right now. Then I have to take it to the board to see if there's agreement there. So let's take one to Sue.
Actually, it's not a question. I want to thank Dana Guazzo, who single-handedly did the work that really our board should have done and got 40 Sand Fiddler taken care of, and she managed to get the CSA fees paid for, which nobody else would have gotten. So Dana has really done a great job. And
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great team.
but there's one other thing. Toby, the one stop that has changed, is that in Club Course, is that the one that was on Governor's Road by so that one's going to be in
That's correct.
the
We're just
country
moving
club.
it.
And also, somebody thought they saw that one of your, whatever they are, attendants at the gate turned away people that wanted to go in the left lane and pay.
That's correct.
Made them, is
If
that a
they,
new policy?
they come into the left lane, we're not selling them a pass, we're turning them around.
Yeah.
I could caveat to that, we're not in control of that specifically. The resort has a right to force that issue if we start backing people up in that left lane. So that's something that is what we're working with them, and they have permitted us to do it that way and to handle it that way, yes. This gentleman right here.
Just as an add-on, the new signage that has gone in has made a huge difference, huge help. We're not turning around as many as what we were this same time last year.
In order to identify day trippers who are parking where they're not supposed to, is their gate pass different than, say, a weekly renter's? How do we identify them?
Yes, currently, the daily passes that we print out at the gates are yellow in color. The resort passes, if you're a renter here, are blue. With the new ABDI program, we are going to break that down a little bit further. So that's why when we ride through the neighborhoods and we see a landscaper, we check the yellow passes to make sure it's either a $10 pass that they have, because that's the requirement for a commercial. But that's how we identify the day trippers. It's yellow in color.
Christopher.
Thank you. Bret, could I just clarify? I believe John Munro said the parking spaces allocated at the beach club are as laid down by the town.
As approved by the town, yes.
Yes. Well, just to clarify, the town wrote to the resort associated with the issue about redesignation as a park, and pointed out to the resort they didn't have any information on which to base a designation of a number of parking lots, spaces. The resort wrote to the town and told the town that based on their analysis, 158 spaces was all that was required. The town wrote back and said, in the absence of they knowing better, did accept the resort's recommendation. And so I think John Munro hasn't quite got the essence of the agreement with the town correct there.
Well, I'll leave that to John.
Yeah, okay. But I have another question, please. That was just a clarification because I think it's rather important. Since we're talking about surveys, Bret, could you please confirm that following the director's decision in November that we are unlikely ever to see the results of the July referendum survey?
That's correct.
That's correct. We're not going to see the results of the July 2017 referendum survey.
That's correct.
Thank you.
One moment. Carl, can you wait for David to get you the microphone?
I have a comment and a couple questions. What Christopher said was absolutely categorically true. What the resort has said was what we've learned this week is called a white lie. And I can tell you that that whole situation evolved.
Did you have a question, sir?
I said I had a comment and question. Okay?
Okay.
Am I
So
permitted to speak, Bret?
You're getting to the question?
Bret, I'm permitted to speak. Is that correct?
I'm asking you a question. Are you getting to a question?
Amen. This whole thing evolved with me sitting next to the director of planning of the town, not as close as you and I are, Bret, but with our noses about 24 inches apart, the sole two individuals in a room. And categorically, the resort lied. They lied in a situation in which it was set up that they would be permitted to lie and get this guy's rear end off the griddle. Okay? So the whole thing was a fake. I'm standing here before you. I'm on video. I'll take a lie detector test. I've got no trepidation about saying that because it's absolutely true. Second thing is something came up which I hadn't planned to ask about, and that was you said that the resort has some unique ability to determine whether or not traffic could be diverted back.
It's called unfettered access to the
Unfettered?
assets. Yes.
What does that mean?
It's in the assignment of rights.
What does that mean?
Well, actually, I'm not going to quote the assignment of rights because I don't have it in front of me, but if you look at the assignment of rights,
what does
it's pretty broad.
unfettered mean?
They can go to they have the authority to rescind or to make sure anybody who's coming to their assets gets to their access without due delay, cost, or other matters that are listed in the assignment of rights. And
That's
I'll be
a
happy to
unique
send you that.
interpretation which has never been taken before and which would never stand up. Now, the third thing I want to ask about is this secret project, which we've heard about apocryphally for months now, about CSA buying some building outside of Sea Pines, which, by the way, their bylaws do not permit because their activities are restricted by word in sea pines, not outside sea pines, in sea pines. And that derelict building at the entrance there on Greenwood Drive is not in sea pines. Now, that's put in words in an affidavit given by Charles Fraser. So what is the status of that? How much money have we spent? How much have we lost any money in a deposit? How much money have we spent for lawyers? And how much money have we spent? If you don't mind, please don't interrupt me.
I thought you asked a question.
Bret,
I don't have that number.
Don't pull that crap with me.
Go right ahead.
Okay? Now look, how much money have we spent on lawyers, appraisers, any other fees, and have we lost any money in a deposit for that building, which I think reasonable interpretation would say is an illegal project undertaken by CSA?
I don't have that number for you.
You don't know?
I don't have that number here today. No.
Can you approximate it?
I do not know it. Well, a couple things on the agreement. One, it is confidential. So it's governed by the agreement. So when it becomes public knowledge, we will certainly provide that information.
Are your expenditures covered by the agreement?
Pardon me?
Are our expenditures covered by the agreement?
They will when they occur. No, we have not. We have not purchased it. We have a contract extension, the Fourth Amendment, that extends to, I believe it is the end of April.
Other questions?
Other questions? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hi, I live on Red Oak Road, and a neighbor of mine for the third year put and it's a parking issue. Since there's a lot of parking questions today, I thought I'd throw this in. It may affect other owners. On the side of the road, they put in like a mulch parking lane for their renters to park in. And I'm just wondering, is that legal, not legal? What should I do about it, if anything?
It's a mulch. This is a rental property, or is currently being used as a rental property?
Right, it's partly used by the owner, but during the rental season, it rents it out.
Okay. Toby, do you want to address the parking? Hardscape.
It's off the road, but it's on the, you know, I think it's, I don't.
Designated parking is supposed to be assigned to the hardscape. What we have, the board has approved moving forward and in conjunction with ABDI, the rental properties inside of Sea Pines, we're currently asking either the owners or the rental companies to provide us how many vehicles will fit on the hardscape. So if you've got a home and it holds 5 cars, not a problem. We will sell you the 5 passes for your renters so that they can fit on the hardscape. The new ABDI system is going to track. So when you call and say we've got a parking issue and they're parked in the middle of the grass, we can look at it. This is a rental. We go back to the owner saying you can only fit 4 cars here. Now we're going to limit you to 4 passes. So currently we're going through the process of asking all the owners and the rental companies to provide us what will fit on your hardscape. But at the end of the day, let me just put this out there. If someone parks in the middle of the yard, I don't have a ticket that I can issue for someone parking in the middle of the yard. Now, when property owners call and complain that there's 8 cars parked in the front, I will tell you probably 99% of the time when staff knocks on the door and says, look, you can't park in the middle of the yard, they move the cars. So in the future, if they won't fit on the hardscape, we will sell them extra passes. Those passes will be designated as trolley lot parking, and they can take the additional cars to the trolley lot, and then they can do their own shuttle from there.
If you don't mind me following up, is that area, it's about like 10 feet or so off of the street, is that the property owner's? Because he thinks it's his property. My understanding is that there's some kind of an easement there that CSA has. Sorry?
It is his property, but it's probably road right-of-way easement.
Okay. So I'm just saying, enforcement-wise, maybe like, trespassing or something like that could be used as a way to,
Yeah, and just to go to that, we've, in the next survey, the community-wide survey, we've posed a question to the community about roadside parking in general. And it's basically our current policy, which is to allow that as long as emergency vehicles can go through, okay? Under, with some caveats that Toby can enforce directly, and restrictions based on signs posted. The old policy was you couldn't do that. And we're going to ask everybody in the survey, what do you prefer? Or is there a combination you would suggest? Sure, but that would be covered by the non-roadside parking. Okay. Let's do this gentleman, then this lady. Oh, there. David, could you hand one to
Toby, there's a young man at the property owner's gate, wears glasses, was on duty Monday afternoon. He is an absolute delight. He's always smiling. Not too tall, no. He's always smiling, he's always waving. He needs a pat on the back. It is a delight to come in, and he welcomes you to the property. He is to be commended. Thank you for him.
That's the son of Jared Armorall. Lieutenant Armorall is our supervisor for the second shift. That's actually his son that we are getting in shape. We're hoping that he has been a great asset to us, but I am hoping that he goes into the Navy. I think that's his plan. So we're working with that to hopefully get him there, but he's been a great asset. He's worked with us as a kid at Tower Beach for years, so he just now moved to the front gate. I know.
Yes, I missed the last meeting after all the controversy with the $10 fee to park in the Plantation Club parking lot with the beach. Has the board considered letting our children with relative decals park at Tower Beach so that our children don't have to pay the $10 to park?
No. I mean, we do have for Tower Beach, we do have a provision for certain access for vehicles, but the covenant indicates if you're with the property owner, they can certainly park there, okay? And we're allowing one vehicle to go with a property owner to Tower Beach when accompanied by the owner.
But to prevent from having to move car seats if they want to take grandchildren to the beach, right now, the way it's set up, if they don't want to pay $10, they have to move the car seats to my car and drive to the beach. So there's no way, the board has not considered letting those with relative decals park at Tower Beach.
Toby, do you have an update? Because you're closer to it than I am, sir.
The access allows for the property owner. So if you wanted to get in the kid's car with your property owner ID card, we don't care what the property owner drives. Pickup, truck, whatever. If you have your ID card, we let you in, decal or no decal.
Right, but this is if my children want to go to the beach and I'm on the golf course.
Then that would be a no.
Can I give them my ID?
We ask not, no. And while we're on the Tower Beach, during the week of the tournament, it is going to be property owners only parking at Tower Beach. No relatives, no invited guests behind you. It's property owners, whether you got a decal or not, or an ID card only during the week of the tournament.
Let's see, did we get this gentleman again? Here.
Clarification on the access to Tower Beach. Did I understand you to say that I, as a property owner, obviously can get in? If my kids are with me, another car without a decal can get in with me?
That's correct.
Good, okay, I didn't know, thank you.
This gentleman here.
Just a question for David. Going along Lawton, you're doing a great job in cleaning up the trees in the forest preserve. I think it's fantastic. But when you go along the canal road there, coming down from the bridge, going out towards South Beach, there are a lot of trees down just along the canal. I just wonder if any priority might be given to cleaning that up.
You're referring to Lawton Canal?
Yeah.
Yeah. That is actually the next block. Are you, just so we're on the same page here, where that electrical substation is near the bridge, is that the area you're referring to? that is the next block that we're going to move into as these ground conditions have improved. But it does present some challenges in that we're getting into the growing season, it's warming up, the trees are beginning to leaf out and transpire, dry the ground out. The ground conditions are more conducive for doing the work in there. It's also conducive to trail rides and spring break and visitation, and the horses have got to cross the bridge at that point. So we're coordinating closely with them on how we're going to manage that, because we can't have work active as the trail ride is coming through. They will ride or will host up to 4 rides per day when they're busy. So that's 4 ingresses and 4 egresses for a total of 8 times that we could potentially have to stop work. But that is the next area that you'll see us, and it could be as early as this week if the weather holds, hopefully no later than next.
I'd like to make a couple comments. As an elected official, so to speak, on the CSA board and president of the ASPO, I am extremely proud of the staff that Bret has assembled here and the work that they have done. If you take a look at what Toby has accomplished, I remember when the Heritage was an absolute parking nightmare. The roads were destroyed, the grass was torn up. We face some difficult issues here. We've faced difficult issues because we are a mixed community. We have commercial interests, we have the resort interests, and we have the residential interests. And the residential interests themselves are quite diverse. Something like 60% of our property owner residents are non-residents. So we have people who don't live here, people who rent their properties, and the traverse in trying to evaluate the rights of those people as they should be considered becomes a very difficult process. You have a good board in the CSA board and the ASPO board. I would like to compliment Dick Matthews on his work on 40 Sand Fiddler, Alex, Dana, and the people that worked on that. These are examples of issues that we struggle with. They're not easy, they're complicated. I wish there was an easy answer. We have pundits who I think unfairly criticize the staff and the motives of the board. There are 2 issues that came up here today that I think are important for the future of this community. One is the issue that is ongoing right now with the Gateway Shops, that property along Greenwood Drive. We get legal counsel on what the right thing to do is. I look at my responsibility to this community not for today or not for what's the easiest thing to do, but I try and look forward to the future and think if we gave up the opportunity to acquire that property at a price which I think is reasonable and expenses which I believe are reasonable. I'm ASPO, so I'm watching what's going on. I'm not directing the CSA activities, and Mark couldn't be here today. Otherwise, he would be discussing that. We're doing the best we can to try and get that property under control. I think if we did nothing other than tear it to the ground, we would be doing a great service to the future of this community. Yes, you can argue whether or not we have the legal right to do it. We think we do, but on all legal questions, the reason we have lawyers is they don't agree. So I think what we're doing is acting in the best interest of this community. I think we will be a great beneficiary for that. We have some significant problems with people who have rights relative to that property, and we are bound by a confidentiality agreement, a legal confidentiality agreement. So to a degree, you have to do something which is a little unusual, which is you have to trust that the board is competent and that they're making good decisions. And I think, once again, I am proud to serve with Bret because you can back him up against the wall, but he has your best interests at heart. He's doing the best he can. He gets good advice. Doesn't agree with everybody, but I think we're moving forward on that. The gate fee is a perennial frustration for all of us. I've been on the board now 4.5 years. I look in my mirror sometimes and say, why are we doing this? I mean, this is just, it is so frustrating trying to get progress. In terms of the gate fee, there are two issues relative to the gate fee. One is those people who have rights over the gate fee. We were very close to an agreement. We had all the parties shaking hands, and the attorneys had a few little documents they had to fix up. We're back with the, we have a few documents that still have to be signed by attorneys, and then they have to go back to another person to get approved. So you get right up to the edge. You think you have the thing agreed to. We're all ready to go ahead with a gate fee agreement, and something comes up. So yes, you could demand, and we could perhaps file suit or do some extreme action, but the parties involved are working towards a solution, and once again, I think we're close. But in perspective, I've been here, again, 4.5 years. Sometimes a year is close. So I think we're getting closer on that, and I think we have a viable solution in process. Our plan had been to announce it at the March CSA meeting. I don't think we're going to make that deadline, but I think we'll probably make the next one. So once again, you have a board and you have a staff who, I think if you go back to the first years that I was here and you look at the way Coffee with Carrie was run, or the Plantation was run, where we kept on a low budget by deferring maintenance. We allowed the drainage situation in this community to deteriorate. We allowed the roads to deteriorate. We did a lot of other things. And we put together a staff here that, again, once again, I'm extremely proud to be supportive of. And I think the explanation made by the staff again this morning is a good example of how hard they are working at trying to do the right things for this community. So I just wanted to stand up and say that.
Thank you, Charlie.
Hi, Brett. I've got a couple of questions. They pretty much revolve around the Ocean Gate.
Okay.
Historically, from what I recall before Matthew, it was like seeded in ryegrass to make it look really green for the tournament, and after Matthew, it's kind of been torn up, that the area from the gate to maybe Lawton. And then the second thing, as far as bicycles coming in, again, primarily the Ocean Gate, going to the tournament, as long as they've got their badge and the code to get into the gate, are they good to go?
To answer your first question regarding landscaping, we do have some landscape enhancements planned for this spring at the Ocean Gate, both inside and outside. We took out a lot of plant material over there, some what I would refer to as spent and outdated plant material. So we do have plans to do some re-landscaping of that entire area that would include new sod inside and out. So that's kind of the reason we've been holding off on some of those efforts over there. So.
Thank you for bringing that up, because I can't remember everything. Yes, if you have friends that are riding a bicycle from outside, if they have a ticket of the day or a clubhouse badge, they would be admitted into Sea Pines at no charge.
Okay. Others? Okay. Thank you very much. We'll see you next month, if not sooner.